So this teaching is from a section in the chapter on silence called Guarding the Tongue. Guarding the tongue. So it said in the teaching of Musar, if you cannot find someone to teach you Musar, remain silent, lest you speak foolishness. And other reflections from this, from King Solomon, there is a time to be silent and a time to speak. From the book of Job, after listening to his so-called friends try to comfort him, Job finally erupts with, "Be silent, and I will teach you wisdom." In silence is wisdom too. A wise person, therefore, is one who knows what to say and when to say it, but also knows when to keep silent. So it's important, I just feel like, to reflect that sometimes on the level of satya, what's required, what's being called from us is to be courageous and bold and to speak our truth, to not repress it, to stop being silent. And then there's also this side, when we are speaking not of what's highest, not of what's true, not of what's in the best interest, most ahimsa, right? We're just making noise. So that's what this is referencing. The rabbis of the Talmud gave their blessings to speech by considering this. Whoever gives charity to a poor person receives six blessings. One who consoles him with words is blessed with 11 blessings. There is a positive power inherent in speech. But the word also contains a menacing power. Speech is judged more powerful than the sword because a physical weapon can injure only those in proximity, while speech can kill at a distance. Death and life, this is a quote, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Now, we've had an interesting experience with the power of right speech and false speech, right, in the past 4 years, and the destructive power of false speech. So holding that in your mind. So much of the trouble of our lives and the trouble we cause others is rooted in our idle, accidental, or even destructive use of words. It is very important to become aware and to take command of our tongues. The primary guideline for speech is not whether something is true or not, but rather what impact our words will have. If our speech may cause people physical, psychological, financial, or other harm, even anxiety or fear, then we are enjoined to hold our tongues. The practice of careful speech is called shimirat halashon, which literally means guarding the tongue. 4 main types of negative speech are identified for us. The first is degrading or negative statements spoken about a person that are actually true. Just because something is true doesn't mean we are free to say it. The second is when the negative statements are false. For this, they are weighed more severely. It is a much more serious and damaging misuse of speech to say something to somebody or about someone that is untrue. The third is gossip. It's passing on to a person negative things someone else has said, right? And this also causes damage to relationships. And the fourth is guarding our tongue against making statements that don't come right out with negativity, but imply it, right? Manipulative use of language, maybe couching something in a compliment that's really a dig, right? That sort of backhanded slander, right? That's maligning. All of these sorts of speech are forbidden by Jewish law and tradition. We are forbidden to say these negative things, and we are also forbidden to listen to them. So Ellen goes on to say, I regularly conduct students in an exercise in which I pair up people and direct them to relate to their partner one instance in the last week when they said something to someone or heard something from someone that reflected negatively on another person who is absent. Just one. The point is not to assess whether or not the facts in the conversation were true, but simply whether derogatory, potentially damaging speaking took place in your presence. I have done this exercise dozens of times, and to date, not a single person has failed to come up with at least one instance of wrong speech in which they participated. This remarkable 100% record proves true what the sages said. Only a minority of people may commit sexual offenses, while most people sin in matters of theft, yet everybody transgresses with the tongue. Everybody transgresses with the tongue. And so our sages, quote, screeched like cranes about the promiscuous use of the lips and ears. The promiscuous use of the lips and ears. The great sage Maimonides warns us that wrong speech is a transgression that is equivalent to murder, but more heinous because it kills three people: the one who said it, the one who heard it, and the one about whom it was said. He established the law. Silence is a protective fence for wisdom. Silence is a protective fence for wisdom. Therefore, one should not be hasty in answering, and one should not speak excessively. One should teach one's students calmly and with satisfaction, without shouting or without being verbose. Solomon said, the words of the wise men heard in quiet are better. And another great sage, the Rambam, commented, it is wonderful how true speech actually grows from the midst of silence.